All right, so this is a meeting of the Community Development Technical Review Team pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, general law, chapter 30A, section 18, and the Governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. Members of the public who wish to watch and listen to the meeting may do so in the following manner: WCTV, Channel 9, Comcast and Xfinity, Channel 37, Verizon Fios, and live stream WCTV.org. This meeting of the Wilmington Community Development Technical Review Team is being conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. Members of the public who would like to listen to this meeting while in progress may do so via telephone by dialing 1-646-558-8656 and enter the meeting ID 862-8499-1289, then press pound and press pound again, and at the next voice prompt. That despite our best efforts, we are not able to provide real-time access. We will post a record of this meeting on the town's website. So thank you everyone for being here. And I think we have our first appointment is site plan review and stormwater management permit for 296 Ballardvale Street. We have Ed O'Connor and John Judd, and I believe Ron Basta here for the applicant team. And this is not quite a new submission. This is the submission we saw last time. The parking lot at 296 Ballardvale Street that's associated with 330 Street. And they submitted the applications for site plan review and stormwater for that parking lot that will provide the necessary parking to 330 Ballardvale. So if someone, Ed or John, if you want to kind of go over the plans, give you we'll ask some questions, give you some initial feedback, and go from there.
Sure. Thank you, Valerie. For the record, John Judd, engineer with Gateway Consultants representing the applicant. This is, as you had pointed out, a more or less an expansion of the previous site plan that was submitted for this property for the expansion of the Monogram Foods building. Excuse me. There's a 1,396 square foot commercial addition that's proposed over the parking area that exists toward the back north, I guess, westerly side of the building. At our last public hearing or department heads hearing, there was a request that we show an improved parking area, showing the number of spaces that would be required and provided with the adjacent parcel being annexed to the subject parcel at 330 Ballardvale. So what we've done is we've modified the plans to include 296 Ballardvale, which is a vacant property currently being leased as a gravel parking lot. And the proposal shows curbing, pavement, landscaping, drainage, closed drainage system with a detention basin, infiltration basin, treatment basin with an outlet swale. And that's essentially what we've come back with you to you with this revised plan. We are showing now 139 total spaces, whereas 86 are going to be required for this total use, and that includes the entire building based on the number of parking spaces required under the zoning ordinance. So that's a very brief description. I know the department heads have comments, and we can go ahead and start looking or answering any questions you might have. Ed, it may have some other additional comments, but that's essentially my presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Why don't we kind of go across the screen here, maybe. Actually, why don't we start with our department comments? Sierra's going to give an overview of our comments on the site plan, um, and then we can kind of get into other comments. Sierra, do you want to go over ours?
Yeah, sure. So the first thing is on 330 Ballardville, we had you guys take away the existing conditions underneath so we could see more clearly what was proposed there. So we'd like to ask something similar for this plan. Maybe some things could be grayed out or removed. It would be helpful to still see the extent of the existing gravel area, but the hatching symbology makes it a little bit unclear what the proposed material is there.
Hey, Sierra, it's really hard to hear you. Will you, do you know where your microphone is on your computer? Maybe you could get a little bit closer to that.
Oh, sorry, I'm not sure where it is. I haven't used this computer for Zoom before. Can you hear me any better now?
Yeah, that's a little bit better.
Okay. Sorry, I'll just try to yell. Do you want me to repeat it?
I got the most of that, Valerie and Sierra. Thank you. I'm not sure, Sierra, have you seen sheet 1 that shows all existing site conditions, including the gravel parking area?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so you need something in addition to that?
No, on the proposed plan.
Yes.
So we'd like it to be a little bit more clear what's proposed as opposed to existing, kind of like how we had you guys remove those things back on 330 Ballardville with that addition. It'd be helpful to still see the extent of the existing gravel area, but other things that are proposed to be removed, if they could be grayed out or taken off the proposed plan, just so it's more clear what's actually proposed.
No problem.
Okay, thank you. The next thing would be, I just wanted to know the plan for the front area where there's currently gravel, but it's not going to be a part of the parking lot anymore. It looks like there's some landscaping proposed there.
Yes, we have proposed shrubs based on our symbol, our details. So yeah, those would be 2-inch caliper native trees that would be planted for screening.
Okay, and it's going to be that like loam and seed or mulch or something like that up there?
Yes, yeah, that all landscaped area.
Okay. A label or a note might be helpful. I know you labeled the actual plantings, the shrubs, but
Okay.
as far as the rest of the material, that would be helpful.
Sure.
So in the parking lot that you guys are going to be paving, it looks like near the existing sewer building, there isn't a whole lot of space for someone to turn around if they were to get to the end of that aisle and see that all the spaces were filled up. So I wanted to maybe see if you guys could create some more room for a turnaround, maybe hatch one of the spaces out or something like that.
Okay.
All right. And with the parking space numbers, particularly on the existing conditions plan, it would be a little bit easier if the number of spaces in each section were numbered as opposed to it being cumulative and going around the parking lot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, is that it? Okay, sure.
Okay, yeah, it'd just be a little bit easier to see the parking.
So you want each and every parking space labeled?
Well, like the number of parking spaces, how you have the numbers in the circles.
Yes.
If those could just be the numbers for just that row of parking, just that section of parking, as opposed to it's sort of done cumulatively throughout. Like
okay.
Yeah.
Is that a recommendation, or is that you say that's what you want? This is typically how we've done it for a long time, but we can do it any way we want. It's just a little different than we're trying to reduce the clutter on the plans by adding additional superfluous, labeling. But we can do it any way you want.
It just might be more helpful to see it that way. I don't think it's a huge deal, but we're used to seeing it. Every row has its own number as opposed to how it's
no problem.
All right, thank you. The next comment would be to reconfigure the handicap parking near the front entrance. Make sure that they all have access aisles and conform to the AAB standards.
Okay, I'm not sure which ones you have. So we have the parking. Obviously, ADA requires it to be closest to the front door. And you're saying that the paint, the aisle widths don't meet it?
Not so much that, but not all of the spaces right now have access aisles.
Okay.
So we just need to make sure that they all do. So just revisit that area to make sure that all of them are kind of in line with those standards.
Will do.
The last comment that I have is to just revisit the location of the concrete slab that's near the entrance. It looks different on the plan from what was observed on site. So just double checking the location of that.
Okay, will do.
All right, and that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sierra.
Yeah, sorry about the audio over here.
No, no, we can hear you now.
Okay, good.
So let's go to DPW. You want to start, Joe?
Sure. This will be quick since I don't have any comments for this time around.
Okay. Jamie, any comments? Here, let me unmute you. There you go.
Not really. I think my major comments last time were the fact that it was a gravel lot and they were going to restripe it. So obviously that comment is null and void. My only outstanding issue, I guess, and maybe this was already addressed and I wasn't paying attention, but you're leasing the property, right? Do you have permission from the owner on working on their land, or is there some sort of agreement for doing this work?
Valerie, can I have Ed O'Connor address that?
Sure. Ed, if you could unmute yourself here, I can get it for you. There you go.
Okay. So basically, Monogram is leasing the property to the end of this year, and then there's a purchase in place. We've got all the sign-offs from the owner, Brandon Kelly. They're the owners, and so we were given permission to do the site investigative work with John Judd, and then also the transition from them to Monogram is, I guess, scheduled for the end of the year. So everybody's on board. They've signed all the documents and there's an agreement in place.
Okay, that's all I had right now. Thank you.
Thanks, Jamie. Paul, do you have any comments?
I do. Thanks, Valerie. And thanks, John, for the presentation this morning. So couple quick questions here. First, so John, is the plan to strip the gravel from the lot or are you just gonna pave over it or slightly modify it? What's kind of the game plan?
The intent is to strip it. I don't know what was done here initially, Paul, with the organics, if they were properly taken out. So when Ed gets in there, Ed, as you know, has done this for quite a number of years. But we have a detail on sheet 3 that would show typical subsection, sub base and so forth for pavement area. And we would have the gravel base put down with all the organic stripped out if needed.
Okay. One section I'd like you to look at is for 2 reasons, is the low point in the parking lot. You get kind of a steep slope going down on it'd be like the westerly side. And I wasn't quite sure if you had looked at maybe raising that up a little bit, raising the low point up a little bit. And It could do two things. One, it could soften that for those kind of westerly parking spaces.
Mhm.
But two, we have a sewer line that's coming out of that. It's coming out of what's called the existing sewer treatment building. I'm not
Yes.
sure if there's much going on for treatment in there, but we do have a sewer line there that outlets from that building. And I couldn't quite tell if you were cutting over it. Maybe like less than a foot of cut, but I'd like to see, I guess, the grade kind of maintained in that area, just so we know that you're not stripping protection or cover over the pipe. And secondly, I didn't know, did you have a chance to look into that? You have an easement call out, plan book 177, plan 149. I don't know if you had a chance to look into that reference at all and see that. I haven't. But if you could take a look at that and just confirm that there's nothing proposed here that would conflict with that easement, that would be great.
Will do. Yeah, obviously we reference that per the record plan. We are close to grade, but I can see what your concern is, Paul, and we can certainly ensure that is, we can take a look at raising that to sort of increase any chance of it not being affected.
Great. Moving on to stormwater. I'm okay with your overall approach and philosophy here.
Okay.
But I do have a list of comments here that need to be addressed to demonstrate compliance with the policy. I'll just hit on a couple high notes, John, and then I figured I'm going to write up, formalize all my comments, and then if I'll do that this week, and then if we we can go through them, comment by comment at that
Okay.
point, rather than kind of muddle down this meeting here. But a few things. First, on the hydrological model, the pre-development condition, in my opinion, would be a grass surface, not the gravel, because the gravel was placed without a permit. And so there should have been a permit obtained to put down the gravel back in 2018. And so I'd say the pre-existing condition, I'd call it grass. I'd like to see the hydrological soil group go from B to A. That's, I think, more in line with what you had for soil testing out there.
Mhm.
Now, as far as the stormwater BMP so that's a infiltration basin? Is that what?
Yeah, it will have a sediment forebay. We will have an I'm sorry, my muted. So we have an infiltration basin, and then we also have the emergency overflow with an infiltration outlet swale, all riprap lined.
Okay. I'd like to see an easy one here, just the surface of the infiltration basin, maybe go to grass instead of stone. It might be easier for maintenance purposes down the road.
Okay.
And the bigger comment I have here is, and this might be, I don't know if it's a typo on the soil testing log, but you need 2 feet of separation from the bottom of the basin to groundwater. So by my read of it, it's like around 1 foot. And if you raise the parking lot, that low point in the parking lot too, you may be able to lift that surface up as well, so everything kind of lifts up, and you'd meet your separation requirements.
Okay.
And lastly, as far as high notes, just if you revamp the O&M, we'd like something a little more specific to the BMPs that you have out here. So just include the basin, the outfalls, the riprap or overflow, and the swale.
Okay.
So that's those are the highlights, I guess, of my comments. Certainly, I would say they're the major comments that I had. And I'll I'll write up the rest in a memo this week.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Paul.
Sure.
Shelley, do you have any comments on this one?
No, I don't have any comments.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have any comments?
Do not, Val.
Okay. Let's see. Anyone else with comments? I think I covered everyone. Anybody with any, John or Ed, any questions or anything for us? And we'll, as we typically do, we'll write up our comments and get them out to you as soon as we can.
Do we have just a schedule, just so I know my marching orders, Valerie? As soon as I get Paul's comments, I guess I'll incorporate those with Sierra's comments. And then I have the next hearing. Is it until these are all resolved with Paul and Sierra? Are we still going to be on the agenda for next week?
Yeah, I would recommend that just to give the planning board sort of an overview of the project in general, and then let them know that you're, you know, working on, you know, the list of comments, but I would introduce the project to them.
Okay.
All right, well, if you have any other questions or comments, you know where to find us. And like I said, we'll get the comments out to you as soon as we can.
Hey, Valerie.
Yes.
This is Ron Best. I just have a quick question. So just what I'm hearing, sounds like we've got some clerical, administrative, and, you know, obviously important things to address, but assuming that all these are addressed properly and to Paul's and everybody else's satisfaction, is it fair to say that this, along with the dock expansion permit, I mean, is there, at this point, is there any contingencies that wouldn't be met, assuming we meet all the ones we talked about today for the parking that you're aware of?
I guess, Ron, I'm not sure quite the question. Can you say that again?
Our ultimate goal of this parking is important to us, but also we have a dock expansion permit that we're going to be talking about on. It's a building permit for the 4th. One of the things that the dock expansion did was it encroached on parking, causing our parking issue. And so we expect that this parking lot would fulfill our limitation or our reduction in parking problem that we had on the original permit. So last I knew, there was no issues with that permit other than parking, which we believe that this plan will address. And I just wanted to kind of confirm that, or make sure there was nothing out there outstanding that we hadn't heard of or thought of yet that might shut us down.
So I think the comments today, so the two are interconnected, right? So
They are.
right. So you need the parking on 296 to meet your parking requirement. There were some, so most of the comments were geared towards that parking lot on the plan now, but there were some comments on the parking right in front of your entrance, just to double check that. But I think other than that, the site plan comments for 330 have been satisfied, except for that front entrance section, and the comments are now on the 296 portion of the project. But it's really kind of all one project because you need both.
Exactly, right, exactly. My win is the entire project. Obviously, this is a sub project that's, we want to get it too as well. They're all important, but I would hate to get the win on this parking lot and then say, okay, we can pay the parking lot, but we can't expand the dock because of some other contingency we hadn't thought of.
No, I think you need the parking lot because of the dock. So if you didn't have the dock, you wouldn't need the parking lot type of thing.
Yep, okay. That's what I thought. I just wanted to confirm. It's been a while since we spoke. So that's it.
Sure.
Thank you.
Sure. And if you have more questions, reach out. You can reach us by phone or email, and we'll get the comments out to you as soon as we can.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time, guys.
Thank you all.
Thanks, John. All right, so next on our agenda, we have parking relief special permit for 100 Ames Street. Again, this is not necessarily a new project that you're seeing in front of you. It's an additional application that they've submitted to be able to reduce the number of parking spaces on the site. You remember they have a site plan review and stormwater management permit in front of the planning board. So this is an additional application for them, and thought it'd be a good idea to kind of go over the revisions to give folks an update on where things are at with this project. So Jamie, do you and Patrick want to go over the changes?
Yeah, thanks, Valerie. Patrick, do you want to run with it, or do you want me to?
Either way's fine.
Why don't you're the keeper of the plan, so before I screw something up,
Okay.
you're probably the better choice.
So the all coat one is pretty straightforward. So as you know, we're proposing to demolish 2 of the buildings to make way for the proposed Garrity Stone building, and all coat has leased back the remaining buildings on the site. If you take the building area and uses and do a parking calculation, the regulations say that we need 87 parking spaces. Allcoat has provided us with a letter that says they currently have about 25 employees, and they really don't predict any growth in number of employees over the term of their lease. So we're showing 44 spaces for them, which is an excess of 19 over their current employee count, which obviously provides spaces for visitors, and maybe if they have any subcontractors, anybody in there doing work in the facility, certainly plenty of parking for their operations. So we're requesting to reduce the parking from 87 down to 44 for the Allcoat side. And then on the Garrity Stone side, we had a parking lot proposed closest to Ames Street, and in working with Paul and Valerie and going through the comments on the site plans that have been submitted, it just kind of made sense to eliminate that 8-space parking lot closest to the street. We had shown it there just so we met the number of spaces required by zoning, but Jamie has confirmed that his operating business, visitors, guests, doesn't require as many spaces as zoning is requiring. So we just figured since we were submitting the special permit request for the Allcoat side, we'd also include the Garrity side of the site on it and bring it down to really what we need. So this is the latest plan that's been submitted. So up in the white area between the gray shaded driveway and the street, there was an 8-space parking lot proposed there, and we've eliminated that.
And Patrick, maybe you or Jamie could kind of go over again the reduction in the board. So you have on the plans, you have kind of an explanation of why Allcoat's parking numbers are being reduced because of their employee count. Can you say again, so they're going to want to kind of hear why Garrity can also have a reduction in their parking spaces. What are the components that lead to a need for less parking, I guess?
So I think for me, Valerie, it's just a component of what our head count is for the facility that we have. We're not a hugely personnel intensive business, so we can get by very easily. And I think we have excess parking with the revised number of spaces that we have shown here. And I guess that's the simplest answer for it.
Okay. And maybe for the board, you could kind of provide, and maybe you do and I missed it, but sort of an employee count and your typical number of walk-in to the showroom per day, sort of those numbers so that the board can kind of get comfortable with the reduction with that.
Sure. Yep. I can provide an explanation. No problem.
Anything else to present before we get to comments?
Nope, I don't think so.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna start with Ellie, do you have anything on this one? No? Okay. Brian, anything on this one?
I do not, Val.
Okay. All right. Why don't we go to Sierra? Do you want to go over our department comments for this?
Sure. All right, so the first thing that we have is that for the handicap parking spaces in the southwestern lot, one of them should be designated as a van space.
And that's for the all coat spaces.
Yes,
Right?
the all coat side. I wanted to ask about the dumpster operations for the new building. Just sort of what type of dumpsters, what's the pickup situation?
So we have two small 12-yard dumpsters, Sierra, that are basically roll on, roll off. They contain stone waste that gets dumped from a hopper from the interior of the building via forklift. So right now we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, like a 6-wheel like hook lift truck that will come and pick those dumpsters up usually about once a week. So it's a relatively the dumpster dimension is pretty small, and the pickup schedule is relatively infrequent. And those dumpsters, I don't know if you're seeing the plans, but the dumpsters for the Garrity building are proposed in the northeast corner of that back parking lot.
Mm-hmm. All right.
And Jamie, those are fully enclosed dumpsters.
They're open top, but we're talking about it's I don't know, relatively large stone pieces, so it's not dust. It's just a fragment of stone that was left over from the cutting.
Okay.
So whether it's 1 by 4 or 2 by 6, something like they're substantial pieces.
Okay.
One more comment, I guess, pertaining to dumpsters. Wanted to see the existing and proposed dumpsters and compactors that are over on the all coat side. I did see a few out there when I did a site visit, and I think 1 or 2 may be within where some parking is being proposed. So just wanted to see where they currently are and where they're proposed to be on the plan set.
I think they're showing, Sierra, along that raised concrete walkway, I guess, that goes along the face of all those buildings. Like I can see, yeah, if you zoom in.
Not cooperating.
Yeah.
I think there was a compactor
Right there, yeah.
shown. I think that may have been one of the ones I saw on site. I also saw one to the south, sort of in front of that building that's closest to the street, as well as one that was up in the area of where the proposed parking is. Yeah, sort of around there. Yeah.
So I think right now, I'll just jump in, Sierra. They obviously don't. I think they're going through a couple things, right? They're as part of my purchase of the property and their lease back, they are moving out of a couple buildings that we're going to demolish, and they're reconfiguring interior space. So they're starting to do that cleanup now. So some of those dumpsters may simply be the function of of that work. I also think they haven't really had to be efficient, I guess I would say, with the use of their dumpster locations. So I think things have kind of just been sitting because they can be. We've had conversations as part of obviously all of this planning, and the dumpster location that Patrick's showing is adjacent to where they're seeing most of their waste. They really don't create a ton of dumpster waste. They receive like 55-gallon drums from a truck on a pallet. and they use those, the material from those drums goes into their production, and then the empty drums get sent back out on the truck. So I think what we're showing is sufficient for their needs, is at least what they're telling us. But I'm happy to, if you need more information, I think we're happy to dig in on it.
So are they just going to have that compactor that's shown and no dumpsters? Is that what's?
I don't know if they need a compactor. I think we were just showing a placeholder.
No, that's the existing compactor.
Oh, it
that's
is.
there.
Okay. Yeah.
That's the one
So-
that's permanently attached. The other
Oh,
ones
the
are
old one.
just
Okay. Yeah.
temporary. I'm
Yeah,
looking
it's-
through my site photos now.
Okay. I think the answer is I can get you more information. I mean, I think what they've said is that's kind of where they put most of their waste in and out, outside of that building number 3, I guess it is. But I'm happy to get you like a little bit more detail on it.
Okay, that'd be helpful if we could just know
Sure.
a little bit better what's going on in that area.
No problem.
So my next comment is about the construction entrance. We'd like you to reconcile the erosion control plan sheet, the detail sheet, and the notes for the construction entrance. They all say something just a little bit different.
Are you looking at the latest set of drawings, the July 7th set?
Yes, I am.
I should say the 9th. Okay. Okay.
All right. Let's see. On sheet 6, note number 10 discusses plant substitutions and says they need to be approved by the landscape architect. We'd like you to add that they also have to be approved by the Department of Planning and Conservation.
Okay.
The last comment that I have is there's a snow storage area up by the proposed Garrity dumpsters. And we'd like that removed from the plan. It's just, it's pretty close to the wetlands.
Okay. Val, is this your screen? Can you pan over?
Oh, yeah. So this one right here.
The one at the end?
Yeah. And, if you can find a different spot for it, but I don't think the commission is going to like to see that there.
Okay.
All right, that's all I have.
All right, Paul, do you want to go next?
Okay.
Sure. Thanks, Patrick and Jamie, for the overview. I talked to Patrick on Friday. I only had very minor comments left regarding stormwater. There's only 2, and they're so minor, in fact, that if the board were to approve the application of the permit, I'd be okay with them being conditions. I think they did a great job addressing our concerns with stormwater. I certainly appreciated the collaborative effort there, Jamie and Patrick. That's really all I got.
Great. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right. Jamie, any comments on this one?
No, not really. I guess I was just curious on the fire department's review. I noticed there's nobody today from the FD, but have they expressed any outstanding concerns that you know of, Val?
They haven't.
Yeah, I'm just curious on the layout, just making sure that they're satisfied with access to the buildings is all.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Really an issue for the fire department, not for DPW, but that's really all I had.
I did send them the plan that showed the layout and also showed all the hydrants to remain. And they did send an email back confirming that the hydrants to remain provide adequate coverage.
Okay.
Actually, they said it opposite. They said I was okay to remove the one I was proposing, so. We did
Great.
provide a truck turning plan that Val's showing here.
And Joe, any comments?
No, all of my comments from last round were addressed, so nothing now.
Okay. And so I think, some of the comments, I guess with the dumpster, the all coat dumpster question, if you guys could kind of confirm, went a little too far there, confirm that sort of what we see on this plan is what you're proposing and there won't be any additional dumpsters. And then, some of the other comments we may be able to work into conditions for the board's review next week. But we'll be in touch with either a comment letter or a draft decision that you can review prior to the meeting.
We would prefer the latter.
Yeah. We would too. I think we should be able to work it all into conditions. But I'm not looking at the list of things in front of me right now. So, but that would be the goal, is to get those conditions written up for the board to consider, so that we can hopefully get a vote for you guys next week, and you can go and do your plan changes and be on your way.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Yes,
Yeah,
any
thank you.
questions for us?
Not
No,
for
I think
me.
you just answered it. That's our hope, obviously, is that hopefully next week we'll have an action, and any of these little housekeeping items could be conditions that we would adjust before we gave you a set of plans to endorse.
I think the one thing, if you could provide more to explain sort of the decrease in parking for Garrity, I think that would be helpful.
Yeah, I'll send that over to you, if not this afternoon, first thing tomorrow, Val.
Great, that sounds good. Great. All right, well, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out, and thank you all for attending, and I think we're set.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Great.
All right,
Thank
thanks,
you,
Judy.
everybody.
Thanks, Patrick.
Have a great day.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thanks to everybody, all the departments, for attending, and we'll see you next time.